Hey guys, Travis at Bartermania here. Promised I'd do another haul video from this weekend. This time it's about vintage electronics. I went to an estate sale on a Sunday, which if you've never been to an estate sale and you're fresh to going to garage sales, estate sales, or thrifting, look for estate sales on the last day. And I recommend that because most, at least in my area, estate sales are ran by people that the family doesn't know what to do with all the stuff after someone has passes, and they just hire a company to sell everything for them. And the way it works is the first day of an estate sale, everything is really priced high because they want to get the initial interest paying a lot more money. And as the days go by, on the last day, then it becomes, well, we don't know what to do with everything. You don't want to pay storage, et cetera, et cetera. So they just literally, I don't want to say give it away, but everything is just, you bargain for it. You get things that you wouldn't have normally got on prices, and they're more willing to haggle and barter with you instead of being very firm on price, like on the first day. The only way I'll go to an estate sale on the first day is if I see something like in the pictures of the description that is a potential gem or a like a Bolo, be on the lookout for, that a lot of people might not know about and I might know, and if I can still get it for a fair enough price, I'll still splurge. But typically I'll wait until the last day, that way I know that I'm getting a really good price on everything. But this sale I went to is in a nice area. That's another thing I highly recommend when you're deciding on where to go, because in where I'm at in the Houston area and the Clear Lake area, there is a lot of options on where to go. There's sales everywhere. It's not like there's one or two and that's what you're stuck with. So you typically want to figure out where your time is best served. And for me, I try to focus on the nicer areas, the nicer neighborhoods, places where I don't want to say that the other neighborhoods can't afford, but typically you find in the nicer neighborhoods, people had nicer things that they spent money on versus elsewhere. I went on a Sunday to an estate sale, and the haul here I have sprawled out so you can see everything. I'm very happy. I spent total at this sale $250. I know that sounds like maybe that's a pretty high price to pay, but for what I got, it was a no-brainer, and I will explain why. And here we go. All right. So first of all, hopefully you can see everything. This is a very high-end projector. It's Japanese made. The brand is called Iki. You can see it. I have it working and tested. These are selling on eBay anywhere between $300 to $450, depending on condition. And I will ask for $300 just to get it out the door. So that would right there get the money back that I had spent. Just to give you an idea, they were asking $300 on the first day of the estate sale, and in the last day, no one had bought it yet. So I did a bundle deal with everything else that you're about to see, and that's why I was able to get this as well as other things. If you're not familiar with anything Sony, vintage Sony, anything vintage Sony, I highly recommend that you at least look it up because, and check the battery compartments always, but vintage Sony will sell. Like, for example, this is a $20 bill all day long. This, a CB radio, usually those can fetch anywhere between $20 and $50, depending on if they work and the condition, etc. This is vintage old stock. You look up the brand and the model, and this is selling around $40 to $45 when I looked it up. An old pirate's hat for $10 I'll probably get. An old, here's a scale. That one was worth $25 when I looked it up. And some other electronics, a TI-83, some vintage records. A lot of these things I just took a gamble on. Like this bag, some vintage Tommy is worth some money. I looked it up, and that bag is worth about 30 bucks. And I also used that bag to put a lot of things in while I was shopping. Let me go over here. Now here's where some of the money is at. Always look in the restrooms for vintage, not only perfumes, but some of this high-end, like this is from Italy. I don't even know what it is, but when I looked it up, it's selling, because it's brand new, it's selling for around 50 bucks. An old clock. I just came back from a trip and we stopped in New Orleans at Cafe Du Monde, so perfect timing to find that mug. Now this is where I'm going to make most of my profit. This is a cassette copy machine. I don't know if it's considered like a reel-to-reel or not, but Atari in the model. And when I looked this up, there was a listing going for $1,500. And on the low end, even for parts only, they were selling for about $400 to $500. And when I plugged it in, it did light up, and it's in really good condition. So I have a feeling that the new owner is going to be happy with it. But I'm not going to sell it knowing how to test this thing. So I'll probably sell it for $700 to $800, hopefully. Now here, the person that I went to on this estate sale, they must have had a lot of electronics that they worked with, because I have no idea what this thing is. But when you're at an estate sale, sometimes you just look it up. And that's exactly what I did. This is a tube checker and all the new old stock tubes, very vintage. So of course, all you have to do is, look at the box and kind of look at whatever numbers that identify it. And on average, these tubes are selling on eBay anywhere between $5 to $50 each. And so on the low end, I'm going to say I'm going to average $10 each on these. And if that's the math, then you do $10 times there's 60 in here. That's $600 right there, just in these tubes. So my goal is to sell that all in one lot. Maybe bundle it with this tube checker as one auction item on eBay. And I'm thinking that I'll get 6, and this right here only sells for about $100. So 6 and 7, maybe I'll start at 3 on an auction, and that right there will get all my money back that I spent on the $250. That should get me about, I'll say 6, 7, 8, depending on how much traction it gets. Where's my last? Oh, this is a Bolo item. Microsoft, it's called, I don't know if you can see it, but it's called a Trackball Explorer 1. But any trackball, if you see any with this right here, I guess they're very sought after and collectible, because do yourself a favor and look it up after watching this video. A lot of times you can find these at a garage or estate sale in the person's office area, even maybe thrown on top of a shelf in the closet. But that right there is $150 on eBay all day long. I can sell it like that. And I've already tested it to make sure it works, and it does. So there's $150 right there. Be on the lookout for these things for sure. What else did I want to say? Okay. So that was my take. Sorry, block it. That was my take for the vintage electronics that I'm really happy with. I spent $250, and I think that I'll end up making on a profit $1,000. My math stands correctly. Some of it I'll try double listing it on eBay and then listing it locally on OfferUp. I use a lot. I don't use Craigslist that much because there's all the scammers now on there. I'm not from Nigeria and I don't want to deal with Nigerian scammers or PayPal BS. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I also wanted to make sure to give a heads up to everybody watching that, there is a community out here of sellers, resellers that have their own channels, and you have to constantly watch the videos and to not only stay up to speed on what's popular and what's selling and what the trends are, but everybody kind of, if you watch the videos of everybody else, not just me, you'll see that everybody has their own niche. Everybody has like tips and tricks of doing things that really help you out and grow as a reseller. And a few of the channels that I've really been watching that I wanted to kind of give a plug to were, for one, on the old electronics and the old school, what does he call it? New old stock. That's what he calls it. There's a channel called Part-Time Pickers. The gentleman's name is Matt. He really kind of educated me on looking for old stock, such as those tubes. When I saw those, I looked them up, and I'm glad I did, because I would have normally not bought something like that. I would have said that, you know, I wouldn't have taken the chance. But since I looked them up, I could see that, hey, these are going for really good money. So I bought the whole briefcase full of them. He has a really good station. He buys off the wall things that you would never guess. And I'm glad I pay attention to his channel. Another channel that I really like is the Cincinnati Picker with John. He has a lot of knowledge with sports items. I think he said he worked at a Play It Again Sports once in his life. So he knows a lot about sport equipment, which I'm athletic, I'm into sports, so that kind of helps me educate on things that I don't know, such as golf clubs, and bats, and mitts, and collectible sports items, and a lot of cameras. He has a lot of knowledge in cameras from his past of reselling to a certain platform and everything else, Polaroid, etc. That's the Cincinnati Picker. Justin at RVA Flips, Richmond, Virginia, RVA Flips, or RVA eBay Flips. He also has another channel too. But those two channels really help you out, because he kind of does everything. Like, kind of like I do, where if it can make a buck, I don't care what it is, I'll sell it. He's very familiar with all the toys. I think he used to work at a GameStop too, so he's familiar with a lot of games and what's worth it and what's not. So if you go into a store and you're like looking at a whole stack of video games, you can cherry pick if you know what you're looking for. And I still have to study a lot, but he's really good at that. Who else do I highly recommend here on stations? I get a kick out of the younger couple that's doing this part-time. They have their regular jobs, but they have a really fun channel you should watch. That's Pam and Ryan. They're in Thrift Mine. They do a lot to run around and find some sales, even though they're stuck up in New Hampshire. But they're a fun couple to watch. And then for my local person that always gives me good tips, and she's a blast, is Tonya at Thrifty Treasures. If you enjoy jewelry at all, you definitely want to watch Tonya, because she knows a lot more than I do as far as anything jewelry related. In fact, I don't touch jewelry just because there's a lot of things that I don't know. In fact, if I see things, I'll probably send her a picture and say, is it worth it or not? And I'll sometimes just buy it, and she can pick through it, and then I'll sell the rest somewhere else or in a garage sale. But she also does auction videos, and she has a antique booth. So if you like going to antique booths or want to learn about having an antique booth, Tonya at Thrifty Treasures is her channel. Recommend going there and taking a peek. And all these people that I'm mentioning, they make really good videos. I'm just a rookie. I'm learning as I go here. I'll get my GoPro up and acting, and I'll know how to edit videos. But as of right now, I just wanted to give them some props. Oh wait, I forgot one more. Garage Flips with Lonnie. Lowball Lonnie. I think that's a catalyst. Everybody seems to know him, and he's a really good guy. From everybody's videos, I hear them talking about him, and he's been doing it forever, and you can tell in his videos how he has everything organized. Really good educational as far as shipping things and how to save money on packaging, whatever it might be. And he sells everything you can imagine. A lot of toys lately. I've been seeing him sell, but yeah, he sells everything. And what else do I want to say? I guess there's a Reseller Rally that I'm excited to go to. It's up in Ohio. It's on a boat, a ferry boat, in September 26th, I believe. It's about 200 of us. I believe, even if you're watching this, it's sold out. But there is a chance that if you get on the waiting list, just send a message to John at Cincinnati. I don't know his email, but just look up Cincinnati Picker, and you'll find the link to get in contact with him. If you want to go there, send him a message, and you'll get on the waiting list. I think there's 200. There's 200 available spots that got filled up, but there will be some cancellations, I'm sure, especially with all this going around with the coronavirus, etc. So there's be some people that'll freak out about flying or whatever. So there's a good chance you can still get a ticket. Personally, I'm excited to go. I'm gonna be mingling with everybody and kind of shooting the shit, pardon my French, but it'll be nice to, you don't know how often you'll get to meet these people because they're from all over the United States. So I'll be working the room and seeing everybody that I'm glad to meet finally after seeing their videos, and share tips, share tricks of the trade, and go from there. Thanks for watching. This has been a longer video than I usually. I'm trying to keep it under like 15 minutes, just because I think 30 minutes is a little bit long when I don't have as much exciting content to show as far as the graphics and the transitions from screen to screen. But yeah, that's about it. I will see y'all later. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, please hit like, and anybody who does comment, I try to do my best to comment to everybody on any conversations that you might have. Thanks, bye.